Welcome back to episode 15 of the Railroads Online track building tutorials. And we are at the last section to build here at the sawmill. And the first thing we're going to need to do is we need to get the height that we've laid this track over to this other side. But before we do that, we've got the grass on because we were driving trains. And we need to turn that back down to low so we can actually see the ground. There we go. And I'll just drag a constant over to here. This will also tell us how far apart this is, so that's 50 metres. And another one. Okay, and we'll drag a piece out along here, in front of the cranes, so that we've got a height. Let's put another one out there. And we'll need to come in somewhere along here to meet back up with there. And that's good, we've got some nice sea fighting going on over here, so we haven't lost any of our heights. It's going to be equal all the way around. Okay, now the same thing that we did up at the logging camp, where we selected the groundworks and then we activated the crane and we came down here and we waited, and we'll do exactly the same thing. Somewhere near centre is there, nice and easy to line up, and we'll go all the way through to the last crane and activate it. And we'll line it up at centre as well. And there you go, that's our line for where the track needs to run. Now we just need to mark the length of the objects. So we'll start at this end. And from about there to about there. And the second one. Yes, I'd much rather waste a couple of the items at each location to have it well marked out where the things land on the ground so that the rail's always in the right spot. Saves building twice. Falls down and there. Especially with these longer items, because there's only about a 3 foot leeway in between them, 3 to 4 foot leeway, where you can have the rail car in the wrong position and then it will accidentally load the wrong car, or let's say here at these cranes where there's actually 2 items, and you're loaded up the front of the train with some lumber and then the rear of the train with some beams to take them to the iron mine, and you accidentally get one of the cars that's already loaded with lumber back over this area here, and then you try and put beams on and it will actually remove all the beams off of the car, basically clear the car before it starts loading beams on it, and well, you'll lose 6 of your lumber. And that's not fun for anyone. Okay, now we need to put a few more bits and pieces of groundwork down first, so we'll grab a piece off of there. Not quite in line, we'll get it in line with the bit that we want. Drag it out this way. So we've got plenty of room to build on. And again out this other side. And one out front of there. Now we'll line up the rail in between. Not that one, we want this one, decking rail. Because the decking rail is easy to work out when you've got it in between the two edges of the stone wall, by lining up how far the ties sink into each side. And we end the spline because this end's in the right place. And start a new spline. That should have both ends pretty much in the right place. And we do it one more time just to be sure. Sometimes we've got to move it forwards and backwards a little bit. And there we go, that I'm happy with. And the last two pieces are quite even onto each other. And we'll put a cross track on the end, and the reason for the cross track is just so we can build straight from there and transfer the position of that cross track to the end of where this one here is going to lay, which is about there. And then we can transfer that cross track that was in the middle to here, and that gives us the end of our build area for where the cranes operate at. We can delete all this here out. Now we can build back across the area, putting in the right length of track to put a control point. So we want to make it straight with alt lock, and we want to put control point there so that we've got a short piece to fit that. And then we want to put another control point there and another one here. And then it doesn't sort of matter what we build here in the middle, but we'll do our 7s. So we've got a good tie spacing. And then a control point at the start of that one. Control point at the end. Control point at the start. And of course that's going to put a silly little tie segment there. And then a control point at the end. And then we can end that spline and put another cross track on the end. Now we can come back through and delete these one at a time and put on the decking rail, which marks basically the loading zones. This one. Sometimes you need to put them all in the same direction, and this one's no different. You can see it's flush on this end and it's sticking over on this end, and we wanted to make them symmetrical, so we put them back the other way. And then this tiny little section here in the middle, we'll remove it and put a new section in, which gives us a better tie spacing in there than that silly one that it gave us to start off with. And do the same thing again here. And delete the rails. That's nice and symmetrical. We can delete the rail at the middle of that cross track, because that cross track now is ready. We need to build between here and that cross track for this end. And we need to build from this cross track over to that cross track over there with a big loop out. And because I've built this loop in so many times, I know that it is somewhere between 25 and 27 degrees. And I don't know why, but it doesn't always go in the same every time. I usually try for, I put in 25 or 0.75 or 26 for the first attempt. So remove a few of these trees, even though they were cleared before, but we put them back when we done a tree replant. We don't want them here anyway because they will be in the way for spotting the rail cars if we leave any here in the middle. Okay, and we'll put down a bit of groundworks here so that we've got something to build a corner on. And this will be another one of those corners where you build it forwards and then build it backwards to get it to line up. And we'll do the fan of corner around here. And you can see we don't have much room to actually get this corner in. You can see the groundworks is going under the ground there. They really didn't give you much room here. It's gotten most of the way around the corner. We'll come back from this side and do the same thing back this way. If you weren't worried about the Z randomization, you just put a single line around there and use the alt lock on the groundworks, the same as you do for the... And if you use the gravel and put it at the shortest length, the distances actually match a 7 tie spacing for rail. So yes, if you use shortest possible length of gravel groundworks with the alt lock, it will match 7 tie lengths also with the alt lock, so that you can pretty much keep your rail lined up on top of your groundworks. I get quite a good coverage here, so we don't have to try and stop the corner and start it again. Not that that's a problem, because you can continue to build from mid-corner, and by the time you've built it forwards and backwards, you've replaced the spline a couple of times. So about where does this line up? About the same size as the other side. So let's have a go at running a corner around here. And start across the cross track, so it's got the 2 points for the first piece, and we'll start with a 5 degree. And then go for no, we might go all the way. Go for a 25. We'll make it 25.5 actually, and we'll see where that brings us out at. We'll go 25.75. See where we end up at. think that's going to be too small. Because we have run out of room already. We can put a wider corner around here. Just looking at that. So let's remove that completely. And we'll put another piece of groundworks across here just in case. And we'll try and go around with the 24 degree and see where it puts us. So start across the cross track. Starts us off with a straight line. 5. And then up to 24. If we're going to miss, I'd prefer to be a little bit wide. That way we can use the existing control points and pull the corner in tighter. Just looking at where we're aiming here, we're going to be too far in. I'll remove the last one off of there. Add a little bit more groundworks. And connect it to the end, and because the last one was 24, we know we can go straight back to 24 again. That'll continue the curve without a change in the corner. And yes, we are a little bit wide at 24. About how far off, because that'll tell us how much we need to tighten the corner in by. And I reckon we were going to be about a track and a bit. So that means we'll need more groundworks here in the middle, because the corner's not going to come out as far. We will remove the corner and put it back in again at 25. I'll lock on and let's start to build. So that might be an idea. Let's see what happens if I bring it out one straight track extra and see whether or not we hit the hill. plenty of room here, and we're right out on the middle of the groundworks we put down. Almost around the corner. Oh, it's going to come close. We bring that back to parallel. We are only off by half a track width. Which isn't too bad at all. So we'll build back the opposite direction. And first segment is straight. We can use the control points. Second segment is a 5. And we need to pull the corner in tighter, so we'll go another 1/4 degree. 25.25. And just snap it to every control point. You can see we're slowly getting closer to the rail. And no, one more. So it gets a 1/4 degree tighter at the end. Snap it to every control point to finish off. Snap it to there. Okay, before we finish the spline, we'll come back and we'll delete all the track from underneath. All the way around. It's quite a long corner, this. And then end the spline. And I'm quite happy with that. Oh, look at that. We have got 2 gaps in the tyres. That's because we had to go wide. That's why it's better to be wide and bring it in smaller than to have to try and bring the track back, because for its 7 tyres it'll give you an odd spacing when you have to stretch the segments out just that little bit longer. But I can live with that. We can remove the cross track from that end, and all of the groundworks over to this other side as we run back. Piece, those pieces and that piece, and the last little piece we have left to do is between these 2 points. And we may as well try and keep to the theme and stick with the 25-degree corners, seeing everywhere wants to be 25 degrees. So we'll come in and we'll start off with a 5. And then we'll go to 25. And 25 is a little bit, we can get it a little bit better than 25, I think. So let's start back from this end. And we can build one straight forward, which meets us up to there. 5 for the first segment, and we're half a track out, so I'm going to say we need a 23. And that should meet us up quite close back to the other end. The rail to lay down flat. And 23 is obviously not enough. So we'll go back and remove our 23, as it did not work. And this end seems to be a short end, so we'll start back at this end here. And this time we'll try for 24. And we can snap straight to the next one because it's correct. And this time we'll go for a 24. Snap to there. This time we can't snap to the control points though. Still too far. Okay, remove the 24 and try for a 23. First control point's correct, and the next one's not. We don't have a menu to be able to build from. Let's build over it again. This time we'll try and get our menu. There we go. Got to be able to see the radius we're setting. And 23, and of course we'll be able to snap to that joint, but not to the rest. Okay, let's back it out of the corner, stretch it up. We need to go to a 15, I reckon. Five's a little bit too far, so we'll go for a 6, and then we'll just connect straight across the other side of the clean up some of these excess rails. Tangents. So, what kind of a wobble do we have coming out of here? We might want to straighten this up a little bit, I think. build straight. First segment. There's got to be a control point there, because it's too far out. We'll use it. And this can give us a good guide as to how far we want to turn in for our corners. And that does not work. Most definitely that does not work. Try once again. Oh, I know why it's doing that. Let's clean everything out of in here so we can see what's going on. Snap to that one. Make sure we snap to the correct one here. That's the correct one. Now we'll go straight. I'll go 5. That was why it didn't look like it worked right. I reckon it's 9. Oh, split the difference. Well, where does this one say it fits? 18. And then we should be up to, I reckon it's 20. And now we should be at the 23 then. Close enough. Now we'll build the rest of the way around the corner. That should have taken that funny little wobble out of the track. And we'll keep that one as the good spline, and we'll delete all the rest of the out of the middle. Yes, that looks much better. And the spline. Delete the cross tracks. Yes, I'm quite happy with that. And the last thing left to do is to delete all of the groundworks. And run the finished groundworks in over the top, which will take a couple of seconds. And we need to be on the groundworks, not... We get it? Yeah, that's pretty close. Oh, I see some duplicate track here. Didn't delete it all. And it's on a straight, so we can just pick any of them. And make sure we're level. Yep. Sometimes it's hard to clean the track out of the cross tracks. It just decides that it doesn't want to remove. There's a cross track we missed. And now we need to blend this back in so that there's no funny lips. And it's going to be one of those guess guesstimate. I reckon about there, that should neaten it in. There's no lip. And there we go, we're done. That is the sawmill complete. Now, if anyone wants to download this map, I have set it to public on Miniswag. So you can download it and play it and continue to build it from it if you wish. But it is probably better if you build from your own map. That way you learn the techniques for building yourself, because the next couple of building stages where you build is from out here on the Y. You need to go to the iron mine and to the smelter, and they're quite steep, and I'd say the two most difficult paths to build on the map. Alright, thanks for watching through the series. This is pretty much the last video of actual tutorial, and from here on I will devolve this series into running the train and just building through the map as I build through it. Okay, bye bye.